All right. Happy Friday afternoon to everybody. Just pulling up questions here on Instagram, and I've got the questions on the live stream. What I'll do, kind of like what I did last week, is that I'll answer super chats, so give those priority, and then I will answer everything else as it comes to me. Now, I'm trying to shrink my screen here so that I can see this properly. There we go. I got to be that size. I'm trying to look at the Instagram and side by side by the YouTube comments. So before I get started, I wanted to address something. I'm going to timestamp this, and then people can use this in the future as you get your super chats and your questions in. Every several times a month there's a post about it'll be about Swiss tracks, and there's a few topics: Swiss tracks, the bucket package, some of these things that really weren't particularly super popular. Swiss tracks I didn't do as much for as buckets and things like that and pressure washing, but it was certainly sold a lot of Swiss track stuff. And if you don't know the backstory there, what happened is that I was always a concrete floor guy. I just don't like epoxy. Epoxy has it has a very, very high probability, let's say a 25% chance of complete failure, no matter how good the installer is, and because there's so many other conditions that can affect how the material bonds, and of course there's polyaspartic, and there's you can urethane top coat or not, but in general, an epoxy floor is a couple of cons. One, high probability of failure. Doesn't matter if you have a warranty, because what are they going to do? They're going to come grind it down and ruin your entire life. Like when they come and grind that, stuff gets everywhere, ruins your entire property, and you can't just sand off a little spot, because then you can't. It's hard to blend it, and it already doesn't look good. So the con is high probability of failure. Warranties are nonsense. The other thing is that dirt. You're always sweeping the floor, so you have to sweep it all the darn time. You have the cons go on and on and on. You can have tire marks. It turns yellow. You have to then mop it and clean it all the time. You're sweeping it all the time. That's the bad part. The advantages, of course, is that if you drop some oil, you can wipe it right up. I would argue, how much oil are you dropping on the floor? So what does that happen? A couple times a year? Let's say you change the oil 5 times a year, and one of those times you make a mess. It's kind of part of life, and you got to wipe up the epoxy anyway. So the cons to me far outweigh the pros. But here's what happened. One day I woke up, I said, maybe I'm wrong. I have all these opinions on this. I didn't have experience. This is back in 2013 at the Brown house, the house on Lake Ella, and when I did 2-car garage. And I'm like, what? I'm going to do it. But here's what I'm going to do. I don't like the flakes, the sparkle system. Reminds me of my grandmother. And so I don't like that. And so I'm just going to do, I called the guy and said, can we just do a clear epoxy? And so he suggested what we need to do is you need to do a clear epoxy with a urethane top coat. So, wow, that's a great idea. So we did that. The first coat of epoxy turned the floor horrible, turned it like a weird gray, and then you could see all the marks. You could see all the roller marks. You could see all the bugs. You could see all the dirt. It was like having a kind of a crappy unsanded paint job, in your car, where they didn't get the fish eyes and dirt nibs, and they didn't block it, sand it, and then clear it. So it was like, oh, this is terrible. And so then, again, I don't like the sparkle system. And so he talked me into, well, it's going to cost X amount more, but we should do these metal epoxy system. So it looks like aluminum, or looks like a waterfall, or you have these things where you see these pictures all the time in photos where people are like, my gosh, this is like garage dreams. And so we did that metal system, laid it down, and then he did the urethane top coat. And now, granted, this goes back to I didn't have a really good installer. He did prep the surface well. He diamond grind it, and I think he cleaned it with muriatic acid beforehand, but he didn't really know what he was doing. And actually, one of his rollers, his pink roller, exploded and turned like part of the floor pink, and then he had to come and grind that down and try to get that fixed. So he put the thing down and then put the urethane top coat, and you could see it dawned on me immediately why everybody that does the chip systems and turns the floor into a sparkle mess. It's because that takes your attention away from the fact, it's kind of like orange peel in your car. It takes your attention away from the fact that it looks terrible. Like every epoxy floor looks terrible if you got a light out and looked at it. If you weren't looking at it from 10 feet away, it looks all jacked up. You can see all the roller lines. You can see all the imperfections. You can see where the guy slid his spike. You can see all kinds of funk. You can see all the bugs that get trapped in there, it's just a freaking mess. And so I had a gray aluminum-looking floor with a urethane top coat, and I didn't do an anti-skid in it because he's like, well, the urethane top coat isn't that slippery. Well, that was wrong. My kid, when Ryan was a baby, he'd fall and bust his head 3 times a day. It was an ACL tear waiting to happen. So I figured, well, what we need to do next time around, I need to do anti-skid in it. And so I've gone and seen floors with anti-skid. Guess what anti-skid does? It's just like putting some sand inside of it. Anti-skid doesn't let the dirt release, and so over time it builds up dirt, and you have this yucky, disgusting floor, and you can't get the dirt out because it's all embedded in this sand, this grit that's in the floor. And so that's when you do the chip system with the grit in it, but it's still, then you can't really mop the floor and get it as clean as you'd like. And then, I always have these arguments of, well, Larry Kosilla did it. Well, Larry Kosilla's floor failed in like a week. he doesn't talk about that because I guarantee he got the floor for free, but his floor failed in a week. And I've seen well over 100, let's say hundreds of epoxy floors, and I've never seen one that looks good ever. Like even right out of the box, it just doesn't work. If you're discerning. And so I want it to work. I wish that was an option. The main con for me is that I'm always having to sweep the darn floor. I like my floor clean, and so I just sweep it all the time. Especially in Florida, you got little oak leaves, and everyone has little things that show up in the floor. So I set out to figure out, what am I going to do? I got this freaking floor. They could come and diamond grind it, which was going to cost almost as much as it cost to install it. Guys were quoting me, $3, $4, $5 a square foot to come get it off and just go back to concrete, which of course it would never be quite the same. And I wanted, because I originally wanted polished concrete, but I didn't realize that polished concrete doesn't take care of stains and things like that. I didn't know about burnishing yet at the time. Burnishing is a really, really good option, and chemically sealing. And the darn floor was a disaster. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? And I can't put tile over it without grinding it down because the tile's going to not stick. The thin set will just pop, release. So I'm like, I'm freaking screwed. What am I going to do? And then that's when I saw Tanner Faust. There was a video on YouTube. There was nothing on flooring, on YouTube at the time. And I found this video of Tanner Faust and his garage, and the perimeter of the garage had these black rubber tiles. The reason why I didn't want plastic tiles to begin with, because I played volleyball in college, and they'd put the sport court on top of like concrete, and your knees would feel like they're gonna shatter. It's just that clickety clackety plastic solid tiles. The tiles tend to kind of get a cup or warp to them. I've seen race deck sucks, and I've seen these other diamond plated type goofy flooring, interlocking floor systems. Like, I'm just not interested in that. That's ridiculous. So all these dudes that have the same problem with it, I had the same problem they had. I just didn't understand it. So I called Swiss Tracks, and I got Sarah, who's now a friend of mine, and she's vice president of the company or now or something like that. But I got Sarah on the phone, and she started talking to me about. I said, I think what I want to do. Can you tell me about these rubber tiles? The phone's driving me crazy. Get out of here. Stop calling me. That's the Highlands house. Maybe the appraisal came back. So she's like, look, you can't drive on the rubber tiles. So the rubber would certainly get rid of all that clickety-clackety stuff that you don't like. But she says, I'm telling you, our interlocking system is different. And our, you can roll things on it, all the things you're thinking, like dirt underneath it, oil spills, screws getting dropped, all the same objections that I had, that you have, I had. The same thing. Because there wasn't really any content. There wasn't anybody telling us what's good and what's bad, and there weren't any real videos on it. And this is right when I first started YouTube, the very beginning of YouTube. This is like this November of 2014, right? So I'd gotten the floor in like early 2014, maybe late 2013. I dealt with it for a little while, and it turned brown and yellow. It was just terrible. So I had a bad epoxy floor, but again, I'm thinking about this as a realist. My floor is the norm, for most people, unless you just get really lucky and all the conditions align. And so, or you do the chip system to just mask the fact that it really doesn't look good. It'd be like rhino lining your car so that you didn't have to see all the scratches and swirls and imperfections in it. And so she talked me into it. It was like Black Friday or something, and I wasn't making as much money then, and it was a stretch, but because I just spent $5 a square foot on the floor to begin with, and it was so it was like $4,000. Actually, it was more than $5. It's like $4,000 I spent on the floor on a 22 by 24 garage, and then I was buying another, $1,800 or whatever, $2,000 in Swiss Tracks, and I ordered it on a whim. I'm like, I got to do something. I got to cover up this mess. My kid's gonna bust his head. I'm gonna, blow up my knee or something. This freaking floor is terrible. And I don't want to ruin my whole house by diamond grinding, getting fine little epoxy dust everywhere for months. So I bought the floor, and you can go watch YouTube of these original videos, and Ryan and I, put it down. And I've loved it ever since. And so the pro of the flooring, I've talked about this 100 times, which was totally inconsequential. I had no idea that this would be a pro, is that water, dirt, sand, sawdust, drywall dust, anything, all just falls underneath the floor. Like when you pull the underbody tray off and all that dirt and sand, it falls. And because the tiles are rounded, it falls underneath it. And so I know that doesn't make it really is very common sense, but it doesn't make sense until you really experience it. And so I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to pull these tiles out once a year, or once a month to pull them out and clean them off. I've just resigned the fact that my floor was so ugly that I was willing to do that. And then 3 months go by, I haven't done anything. 4 months, I'll pick up a few leaves that would like get in the first tile or two and just throw it out. 6 months go by, 7, 9 months, 10 months, 12 months. I haven't done anything. I haven't even vacuumed the darn thing. The freaking floor just works great. I'm like, my gosh, this is amazing. And that's what turned me. And it doesn't sound like classic floor. It doesn't click and clack if you do it right. And so to my point here, how do I say this without being a jerk? I don't want to like it. And so I had all these opinions, but no experience. Now, I wasn't voicing those opinions. It's just these were the justifications why I never bought that kind of flooring. Because I would rather have some other option. I'd rather just have polished concrete and have it look beautiful. But the problem with that is you do drop oil on it, it seeps right in, your floor looks terrible. It's slippery and issues like that. Plus it costs a lot more, like a whole lot more, and then you got to polish it all the time. And so what's happening is, and I'm going to refer back to this timestamp, whatever time we are in this video. you go into and this happens not just on Swiss Tracks, I'm using this as an example, but in the Facebook group and in comments on YouTube. So by any stretch, I think most would agree. There's certainly many, many more successful people than me, but I think I could confidently say that I've lived a life of some modicum of success, and I've had to work my way through it. Like, I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I went to high school, went to college, got a good degree, got a good job, paid off my student loans. Did live in the American dream. Got a great job where I was, paid very well for the risk that I had taken and the work that I had to do, cold calling, which was horrible. And then took the risk to start this business, which has now, granted me some level of success. And I think I'm just scratching the surface. I think the possibility, if I continue to be authentic and share my life with you, by the way, I'll get to your super chats once I get off this rant here. I've had some level of success. And, I've been out to see, Jay Leno, and I can think of, tons and tons of customers that have bought things from us, clients who have bought things from us that are at a whole different level, that I couldn't even fathom. And my initial reaction to all those people, let's use Jay Leno as an example, when I'm riding shotgun with him in one of his, 180 cars and this 55,000 square foot complex and all the success he's had in his life, never am I thinking about being insecure. I'm thinking about, man, this is fantastic. First of all, I was very appreciative. And secondly, I'm like, it made me aspire. It's very aspirational. Same thing with some of these garages that we've been a part of, and some of the people I've met, and some of the cars I've ridden in, or been with, been around, and these people of success, black, white, yellow, Asian, blue, gay, straight, doesn't matter. But any person that has some level of success that's infinitely more than what I have doesn't put me into insecurity mode. It puts me into aspirational mode. Like, man, I'd love to learn from this person. I'd love to get to know them better. I'd love to know more about their story. How did they achieve this? What am I missing? What do they know that I don't? What could I aspire to? And so here's my point, and I'm attempting to take this from a positive note. So if you go and look at the Swiss Tracks feed that's going where there's oil running down, and clearly, I don't know what the original poster, if they intended that to be a jab or not. I think it was a real question. If I just read the words that he wrote instead of having some sort of judgment around it, I'm thinking, he's like, well, what I do about this? Like, if I drop this and oil ran down the floor underneath all the tiles, well, how would I fix that? And then there are, every single time there's 20 or 30% of people, and now I'm attempting to do this without a judgment. I'm just reading the words they're writing, and the words that they're writing are screaming insecure. And the terms are usually hype, overpriced, real work in my garage, right? So. And this drives me crazy. Like, I want to just get rid of them all, get them all out of the group. Now, I know that's a mistake because I know the vast majority of them will come around. Very few people. So the story I'm telling you about Swiss Tracks and what I've had to go through and the mistakes I've made, combined with I've seen hundreds of garages of all sizes and shapes, both physically and virtually. I probably have more exposure to garages than most humans on the planet, and again, both digitally and in person, meaning I'm seeing garages and getting schematics, and then I have a personal experience with chasing the product. But again, I'm not using that. I'm not hiding behind that experience as just it was one bad experience. I've then subjectively said, is there a better way to do this? Did I just have the wrong guy? Did I use the wrong process? So I've chased other process and looked at other floors and followed along other things, and I've come up with an experience of what it is that what my flooring options are. And again, the Swiss Tracks has many cons as well. You can damage a tile. Some jacks don't work and jack stands don't work. And yes, if you were very, very messy, with oil and fluids, it's probably not the right right thing for you. But because you use words like hyped and overpriced and real work in the garage, I think you're missing that me aspiring to get to know and to be like a Jay Leno from a car perspective. I don't like the same cars he likes, so that doesn't make me better. He doesn't have many Porsches. It doesn't make me initially go to the insecure route and say, those cars suck. He sucks. He just, he's a hack. I'm dealing with real cars, and I live in the real world, and everything he does is hype. And so what I'm asking and what I'm referring to here is those that, and this tends to be very blue collar in nature, where you're stuck in a place where you're forced to pull an engine from your 86 Tahoe because you don't have the capital, and maybe you made some mistakes in your life, maybe you've had bad luck. Chances are you probably just didn't work hard enough. But I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that if you're having to pull the engine and you're dealing with all this stuff, that wouldn't you aspire to not have to do that? Now, there are certain instances where you're really into restoring things and restoring cars, but wouldn't you aspire to not have to buy the junk version? Let's just say you had more money than you knew what to do with, more money in your bank account because you worked your face off, you got lucky, you worked hard, the stars aligned, you invented something, you became you came in and revamped a company, and eventually it went public, whatever it is. Let's say that happened to you. Would you still be pulling the engine on the 86 Tahoe, or would you maybe go buy an Escalade, brand new, every year? Wouldn't that be something you'd aspire to do? And so I'm not going to stand for this nonsense of this insecurity nonsense of people that have this superiority complex when it should be an inferiority, which it really is an inferiority complex. That I don't feel inferior to Jay Leno. I aspire to be like Jay Leno. So there's no reason to have this. What I'm asking you to do is to check yourself out when you're blue collaring it and feeling superior to the more successful people that, whether they got lucky or not, probably worked, if not, maybe not harder, but more specifically, and didn't slack off, or maybe they were just blessed with some genius or some certain skill set that's of real value, that afforded them the ability to do whatever work they desire to do in their garage. And using these words like overpriced and real work, and I only do real stuff, and I don't buy into the hype when you have no experience, it's got to stop. So that's my rant for the day. So let's get into super chats here. All right, first super chat was Mike. Was it Iowa Muro? One of the hardest parts of chasing OG Spec is finding good people to provide quality service. What is your process to find quality people or companies that focus on quality over turnover profit? This is really hard for me because I'm not very good, and I don't do a good job of making a request and being very specific on what I want to have accomplished. I get excited. I speak too quickly. I throw out things like, I'm willing to pay for it, whatever it takes, whatever it costs. It's a really big mistake, because then you always get taken advantage of. Now, I do tend to live life thinking that, well, what goes around comes around. If I pay it forward and palm hundos and take care of people, that it'll come back to me. And so I tend to err on the side of not being as frugal as I should. I tend to err on the side of this happened with my septic tank. I said, look, whatever it takes, just get it done. I'll pay it. And so then they freaking screwed me and sent me this ridiculous bill. And then held that against me because I was trying to take care of them and say, hey, do what you need to do. And what I should have done is explicitly said, here's what I want, and then quantified what that was going to cost, because they should have fixed that septic system at their cost. And I just let them, I just assumed that they knew what I was thinking, and of course they didn't. And then they fought me to the end, and then I just said, here's the money, get away from me, don't ever come back. And so you have to hire people that are wrong and try and fail. Before I found Perry, I've hired 3 or 4 different electricians. And you just resign the fact that, that's part of the learning experience to find the right people. I've hired 3 or 4 different air conditioning companies before I got Kalos. Before, I've had window tint all over Orlando before I found Martin. I've, had to chase. Now, a lot of times I can skip now because we have this network of people through Obsess Garage, to find the right people. By the way, I found Perry through the plumber, and the plumber's no good, so I need to find a different plumber. And so part of it is just time, a willingness to deal with sunk cost, to let the sunk cost go. When the plumber sells you a water softening system and it's junk, and you just have to punt. I feel like I live a much better life because I'm not chasing down warranties and trying to hold people overly accountable on things. I tend to just punt. Instead of digging in my heels and calling 3 timeouts and arguing with the refs and pleading my case and then writing letters to the the NFL Players Association in this case. Instead, I'm just going to punt and know that sometime I'm going to get a win too, or they make a bad call on somebody else. And so all of this comes with being willing to deal with sunk cost. I'm going to attempt to do this because it sounds arrogant and ridiculous anyway. I don't care what it costs, just do what it takes. Instead, be very specific and clarify, by when is this going to be done? I request that you do this, this, and this that's above and beyond, and then we can agree upon an appropriate exchange in value of what that should cost, because I know that I'm requesting something over and above. Instead of whatever it takes, I'll pay for it, which makes you a great customer, I guess, but then they screw you and then you're unhappy. So that's been the difficult part, and it's just a large, same thing with products. It's a willingness to try and fail, and it's a willingness to punt. And just, I think that's my superpower, is a willingness to try, fail, and try again. And now try, fail publicly, do it all day, every day. So that's something that I think is helpful. All right, our random person. That's interesting. I have a Montego Blue 335. Was coated about 1.5 years ago. Sat through 2 pollen seasons, no wash. Best way to get all the pollen and water spots out. I think you're just going to decon it. So you're going to first wash it with decon soap, do a good quality wash. Then hit it with Iron X, an iron remover like Fair X or something like that from Optimum. Then do an auto scrub on it with a clay lube like Nanoskin Auto Scrub, Nanoskin Glide. And then you're going to have to polish it. That coating's toast, very likely. So just polish it off and recoat it is what I would do. So there's not really any shortcuts. Sahas, let's see, oh shoot, he's gonna be mad. Let's see, Raman, sorry buddy. Sahas, he says, do Bendpak lifts get the Hex Plus discount? It's not included in the list of excluded products. No, it doesn't. It should be. We just created them. I haven't even done any work on them yet. The guys have been after me forever. What I need to do, I need to order each lift, photo it, video it, send it back, or sell it, which is a huge process, which no one else is willing to do, but I'm going to do that. That's what I'm doing with, Dyne Audio, NAD, all this stuff. I've got tens of thousands of dollars of Dyne Audio speakers that I have to eat or sell off or just use somewhere because I need it to take photos and stuff like that. So, no, the Bendpak lifts have like 11% margin or something ridiculous like that. So, And there's not enough margin for it, so the guys I'm sure are listening will go and get that removed. George Ramos, $4.99. Thank you, sir. Hey, Matt, what are your thoughts about franchise? Can you clarify? Are you talking about? It's probably Jorge Ramos. Sorry. I think if he's talking about franchising Obsessed Garage, there's no way, not even a thought. There's just no. There's no way that this is so niche and so specific that no matter how obsessed people are, they could never execute because it's so personal to me and my style. The only thing that would be is we'll have corporate distribution centers, which will have like-minded people that are in my employ. But there's no I have no aspirations to build a franchise detailing company. It was just I couldn't even build a detailing company to the standard I would want here. It would be very, very difficult. It would take many years to get there. By my in one location, let alone multiple. It would have to be some watered down version of it. Car Enthuse says thoughts on the new Lotus Amira. I haven't even looked at it yet. Somebody else asked me that the other day. Let's look at it. Amira Lotus. It looks cool. Last of its kind. I'll do a little digging. Well, that looks pretty darn good, huh? I wonder if they're going to make it so that regular people can fit in the darn thing. 400. I don't like the fact that it's a 2-liter twin turbocharged, and especially if it's a Mercedes, it's going to sound like crap. The standard motor is a turbocharged, Toyota-based supercharged 3.5-liter V6, approximately 360 horsepower, and a high-performance option is a 400 horsepower 2-liter turbocharged. So the high-performance option is going to be a 2-liter, and the standard is going to be a 3.5-liter V6. I guess it would supercharged V6. That's not sounding very promising. A 3,000-pound car. 180 mile per hour top speed. What's it supposed to cost? Interesting. Started under 82,000 in the UK. Certainly looks good from these photos. I don't know if it's super cool. Maybe I'd be interested in it. So anyway, good question. Let's see, another super chat. Thomas Carella, 1,300 colognes. Is that like $2? That is like $2, but sounds better. I appreciate that. Thanks. And he says this is to help you fund OG after the guy who damaged the MTM bottle last week stopped buying from you. Yeah, thanks, Tomas. I appreciate that. Thanks for looking out. Let's see. Valentin Trejo retracted his message. If you want to do another one, I'll look for it underneath there. I don't see. Oh, there it is. Thoughts on E63 AMG or E55 AMG? Any Mercedes in the future? So, Mercedes kind of gets me every now and then because they look great. They always do stupid stuff like put 18-inch wheels on a $100,000 car, or they'll do like carbon ceramics in the front but not the rear. And the problem with Mercedes is that it's a MCT. It's their own goofy automatic. The rear ends on those cars are a disaster. They're just not great handling cars. So I don't have a lot of experience behind the wheel of them, but now they sound like crap. So all the turbo stuff, even the E63 is one of the worst sounding cars on the road. I know people think it sounds great. It sounds great from a digital sense. Let's just call it but from an analog sense, it sounds terrible. You take one of the greatest sounding cars of all time and the previous gen C63 AMG Black, or even just the C63 AMG, that V8 is freaking fantastic. Was it a W204 or whatever? Thing's great, but it's a crappy automatic with a disaster suspension. So I just don't have. I'm not really a pimp cruise kind of guy. And so Mercedes just doesn't work for me. Even like AMG GT with the crappy transmission, it's just not a good platform. So I'm not a huge fan. So let's go back to the top. If you have other super chats, chime in here. That'll get you bumped to the top. But let's go back to the top. Mike Reddy says, hey, Matt, can you drive straight on Swiss tracks with hot tires? Yeah, no problem. No issues there. You can even turn a little bit on it with hot tires, unless you're. I mean, I've never done it where you came right off the track, but even then, I think you'd just be able to, if there was rubber left over, you just wipe it off with a towel or just wipe right off. Let's see. Harv says, Matt, what percentage of your day is doing something you want to do? Is doing what you want all the time true happiness? That's a good question. I mean, you have to define what you want to do, because what I want to do is just sit here and eat zebra cakes and watch Heart of Dixie all day, right? All day, every day. Never get off the couch. But at some point, that level of happy, like that is like next level, sitting there watching Heartland, eating some junk food, would be like ultimate level of happy, and like a really dedicated, awesome ISF calibrated TV with some amazing, sound and stuff, and watching something very simple and basic, and it's just very comfortable for me in a dehumidified, air conditioned space with the right amount of airflow at the right temperature. But even that level of happy eventually wears out, right? It eventually becomes boring and annoying, and you're done with it because your freaking head hurts from laying on the couch for too long. So I think I don't like to use the term balance, because I think that most successful people are very unbalanced in no matter what you do. Forget the work-life balance, all that nonsense. That's fine if you want mediocre, but I think that if you're good if you're a professional in a sport, you're very unbalanced. If you're a CEO of a major corporation, you're very unbalanced. There's a lot of lack of balance inside of success, and the question is, are you pursuing success blindly, unhappily, chasing something that you don't want to do? Because what does make you happy is seeing the balance of your bank statement or the size of your home or something like that. So for me, there's a lot of effort. Like, I don't love working out and annihilating myself, but yet it's a necessary evil to get fit, and I really love and I'm happy with the result. So I just don't think there's I don't think there is a percentage. I don't think you can have an extreme high percentage of doing only what you want to do all day. I just don't think it's possible. And again, you'd have to define or draw a line somewhere, because all I want to do, if I spend 100% of my time watching Yellowstone on my couch, eating Fritos, I mean, ultimate happy. But eventually those Fritos come back to bite you later that evening, right? Your hands are swollen, and you got the gastrointestinal issues that come from eating that, 2 bags of that. So I think that, I think this is common sense, but I think that finding a percentage, I would say I spend more than half of my time doing stuff that I want, but a lot of times those things that I'm doing are very uncomfortable and very annoying and stuff that I'm not liking while I'm doing it, because I'm really interested in the result. Detailing. I freaking hate detailing while I'm doing it, if you really think about it. I think I love it because I love shopping for the products. I love lining up the products. I love filling up the bottles. I love seeing the results. I love chasing a process. I love the result at the end of it. But I hated, all of those are like 5% of the process. 95% of the process is doing the work. And so in that case, 95% of my time is time that I'm not enjoying, but 5% overcome. So I think you'd have to almost create a weighted average of what the value of the things you enjoy so much, what that value is in comparison to percentage of so you'd have to overweight that lower percentage, even though most of your time is spent doing things you don't love, because you're so addicted to the result. And I think that's where unbalance and real success comes. If your whole goal is just to have, can't wait to get to my 2-week vacation every year, or if, I'm going to get to 5 weeks vacation, I get in more trouble. I don't want anything to do with vacation. I don't want to go on vacation. I want to be here. I want to do this. And thank goodness Michelle lets me do that. Now, what I'm hoping that I'm not doing is that I'm doing it out of ruining my kids' lives by me never being there. I think I'm there quite often. I just don't want to. I don't want to go and waste a month of my life screwing around. So I think you got to figure out what that weighted average is in your case, to where you're doing a lot of stuff that you really don't like that's completely outweighed by what you love. So I know that's a little different answer than just chasing the happy. Let's see, there's another super chat down here. Where did that go? A few of them. Tyler Lloyd says, have any thoughts or preferences for exhaust on the B58 engine platform? I just picked up the 21 Super last month. I'm just curious to see what OG spec exhaust would be for you. I don't know. I haven't really chased that platform. This is what frustrates me so much, is that platform. I think those cars sound freaking great, especially when you start modifying them. This Supers sound awesome. Why do the new M3s have to sound so terrible? You can still make a turbo car sound great. The NSX sounds great. McLaren sound great. The B series on a Supra sounds freaking great. I'm not sure, is it active? I mean, who's making the best exhaust for that platform? But I've thought about getting one of those cars. If they had it in a manual, I'd certainly get one. I just don't want an automatic, whether it's paddle shifting or not. So, that's one of the things that I think about. If they did come out with a manual, that I might be interested in getting one. Fish sticks. That's a good question. What are the pros and cons of the Bendpak scissor lift? So we're talking, SP7X, which is a far inferior. I like some of the Bendpak products, but the SP7X is far inferior to pretty much any other scissor lift. It's the disadvantage to it is that most cars don't fit on it. Like the ramps aren't long enough. And then they have some weird little thing that they've adapted, but you really need those flip down extension ramps so you can switch from car to car. So I think you're much better off. Now, the cleanliness of the Bendpak SP7X in ground looks way better, but the disadvantage is that it's not long enough for most long cars, and you have to sort of adapt to it. And so I think the Nussbaum scissor lift is the way to go. Or even if you recess the rotary or something like that, I'd prefer that over the SP7X. Thoughts on Z3, Z4 M coupes? I never liked those. Thanks Guillermo for the super chat. AMG speed shift. What a freaking joke. MCT, sorry, I'm going to sidetrack. Thanks, Brian, for posting. MCT 7-speed transmission, a radical rethinking of automatic transmission. The speed shift. Bullcrap. It's a 7-speed, uses a multiple disc wet clutch for direct connection between the engine and what? The engine and the sky? Because it's certainly not me. So, anyway, thanks for posting that. So the Z platform, I just don't like how they look. They look too bulbous and weird, and they're too round. I just don't like them. I don't think they handle all that well in comparison. I just don't like it. I never liked any of them, even the M Coupe or M Roadster, I should say. That little bulldog looking thing. I just don't like it. This is not my style. I mean, I don't dislike it to hate on it. I just think it's fine. I just wish BMW would veer from that and make a really cool Roadster. That's what I hope. Justin John, I'm not going to mess up your last name. Hey Matt, what's an OG spec car jack and jack stands? The orange vice of jack stands, if you will. So jack stands, I know that's Jack Point. Gosh, I've wanted those things forever, for years and years. I discovered them on probably Honda Tech. I don't know if they're that old. It might have been. It's probably S2KI, and they're like $700 a set. And I've just never pulled the trigger on them. I probably should. We should probably get them in the store because they're freaking fantastic. Now a jack, I'm not sure. That's something that I don't know. I would like to find that out someday. I'm sure there's some German something or other, some crazy American thingy that's great. Yeah, I haven't discovered that one, and you're motivating me to go chase that. All these little ancillary things we're going to chase over time, we'll have an end-to-end solution at some point. And these super chats are great. Keep it rolling. Greg Hansel says, "Have you ordered the OG spec skateboard? Thanks for reminding me. I need to talk to Bryce. I want to get some OG custom-made decks for our next giveaway for sure. I think it's cool. I need to get one, and then I've just used that as my deck. I almost ordered one at CCS, and then I just forgot about it. So maybe I'll get one going. I have an old Zoo York on some Venture Feather lights. It's just sitting there. Ryan's left it in the rain a bunch, so it's kind of lost its pop. But yeah, I need some new one. Cool. Another super chat. Joe Nunez says, "From a Raptor owner to another, what made you hang on to the Gen 1? I currently own a 14 Ruby Red, and it's not the newest and baddest thing, but I'd love to hear your input. I'm a huge fan of yours, man." Thanks, man. I gave Michelle the choice. I said, when I decided I wasn't going to be towing all the time, because having a trailer is just freaking annoying. So going back a little further, so I got the Raptor to tow. Michelle had a Tahoe, and I had my GT3. And so, I think I had something else, maybe the S2000 or something like that. So I had a bunch of cars in between. And so I asked, so I was getting the new Gen 2 Raptor because I was going to be towing like crazy. And I thought, this is great. I like the Raptor. And so I gave Michelle the choice. I said, I'm either going to sell the old Raptor or the Tahoe. You can pick which one you want. And she chose, because I had a little white Tahoe LT with 22 black 22s. It's pretty sweet looking. And so I traded in the Tahoe on the new Gen 2 Raptor. And of course I did the same thing with Devers +3 in the rear and the RPG Stage 3 rear suspension, 2.5-inch collars in the front to level it. I did the same motorized steps, the amp research steps, and I cut the bumper off, which made it look worse, but I cut the bumper off and did all that stuff. And so then I had like a replica of my Gen 1. And the 10-speed transmission is stupid. It's freaking terrible. It's the dumbest thing ever. It doesn't need 10 speeds. It's stupid. And so the transmissions, I think, are terrible, and the new, they sound terrible. But she wanted the old car because she didn't want to ruin the new car. And so when I decided to get rid of the Raptor and go back down the E92 path, because I wasn't towing anymore, I sold my trailer. I said, you can have the new one or the old one, and so she decided to keep the old one. And so that's really the history of it. The old one is miles slower, but I think it's still great. We are going to trade, or I'm going to sell the Gen 1 and get the Gen 3. So I'm going to get the 2021 or 2022 or whatever they're calling it. I've placed, at least expressed my interest in it. So hopefully we'll get one of those. So that's the story. Bendpak chiming in. We have the new SP7X LE full rise scissor lift that allows you to extend the platforms. There we go. I knew they were coming out with that at some point in length and back again without sacrificing overall size and still being able to flush mount. Let's look at that. SP7XE. Is it, let's see, is it up on Bendpak? Let's see, as Bendpak SP7XE, and I never even thought of it until we did it, or SP7XLE. I wonder if it's even on the site yet. Can you guys chime in on that there? So it's like half the cost of a noose bomb, so that's where it fits in nicely. So that's good news. We'll get some more info on that and clarify that and get it up on the site there. But I need to start digging into Bendpak because it's they have a full suite. It's currently in production. Okay, cool. So it's not on the site yet. But I never even thought about it till Nick Jones, and I said, you got to get the SP7X. This is before I knew about noose bomb and stuff like that. And then we found out that it's a little short for some really long cars. So I don't know. Did Tyler, did Larry get the new is that the LE that he put in his wash bay area or his studio area? Is that what they ended up doing? Let's see. Wayne from Newfoundland. Any further along on opening a location in Canada? You freaking Canadians, man. I love you guys, but you've got to revolt or something, because a freaking country is no business being closed. So I would be all over it. A goal is to be up there in March, but I'm not looking good. We can't come. I can't come there. You can't come here. It's freaking stupid. And this whole nonsense has been over since the first month. So I want to be there. I want to have a place there. I think it's going to time out. The timing of it's going to work out pretty well. So what I'm thinking of in my head here is, Brad just came, Brad Bacon. He's going to revamp our website, and we're going to change how we deliver. Not change, we're going to add how we deliver. So we're going to have we have this major unpacking project. We're going to unpack all this information I've been putting out all these years and get to the point. We started Obsessed Garage Shorts, which will be another Obsessed Garage channel for doing all product specific short videos that get to the point and explain the product that we can then embed on the website. And we'll pull out Matty rants and stuff like that as well from the podcast and from other videos and things like that. So we're building that. We're going to revamp the site and how things are categorized, doing a whole new pressure washing setup and explanation. We'll be rolling that out here soon. OG design, all of that stuff. So we're in the throes of planning out that vision that I have, and we're going to execute on that. Then Mike starts in January. By then, I'm hoping to be making hoses here of all shapes and sizes, both pressure washer, garden hose, air hose, hydraulic hoses. We're going to be making all of those. We're going to start to set up a wholesale program as well, which will probably be under some other brand name, because most people aren't going to be willing to buy from Obsessed Garage and admit that they're just copying. So we'll just build another brand. Same thing with Press-All. We'll have Press-All wholesale and all that stuff. And then from there, shortly after that is when I want to have Canada up and running. And so I'm still probably going to come to Toronto as where the distribution center will be. But, I do have aspirations to be in Alberta is where I would really like to be. But ultimately, if it does really well, maybe we'll have a location in both. And this is going to be a distribution warehouse. You won't even know. So you'll go to obsessedgarage.com. It'll know where your URL is coming from, assuming you're not using a VPN. And you'll select Canada, and the shopping experience will all be in Canadian dollars. All the shipping will be all domestic because all the product will be in Canada, and it'll just be a seamless Obsessed Garage experience, no matter if you're in Canada or US. And then we'll chase other countries like Australia, UK, Germany, things like that in the future as well. My WRX channel says Tesla giveaway would sound great. P.S. I also own an MK5 Supra. It has everything you'd love: sarcasm, titanium exhaust, farts, burbles. ZF auto isn't that bad. If it's an auto, it's terrible. What do you guys think about a GT4 giveaway? I'm sending my deposit to for my hopeful future allocation for a 911 Touring. So, what do you think? GT4 giveaway? I don't know. I've been thinking about it. I don't really have anything to do. Let's see. Did my Bendpak buddies answer about the Cosilla? Yes, Larry had trouble loading some vehicles with super long wheelbase. Forced us to come up with a solution. We just finished installing the first SP7X LE in his shop. So that's why they did that. Yeah, I mean, most longer sedans, things like that, wouldn't fit on the SP7X. So don't start with this nonsense, Paul Shepard. Get out of here. It's freaking nonsense. The whole thing is a bunch of nonsense. Let's see. Let's go to Instagram and answer a few questions so the Instagram people don't feel left out. Let's see. Swiss Tracks is not good for liquid spills. Well, don't spill frickin' liquids. Good old concrete dry sweep for the rescue. So think about this logically. So I spill things once a year. but yet I got dirt every 365 days a year. So I could pop up the tiles and wipe it up once a year, or I could sweep the floor every single day from now until forever. Case closed. Matt, do you know any OG spec whole house generators? I mean, I think pretty much the standard is Generac, one or the other. And then you size it accordingly, and you get a big old either natural gas or propane tank. And so, yeah, I think that's a pretty easy one. I would find a Generac dealer and go from there. Why hasn't Good Enough Garage been around again? I tried to get Good Enough Garage URL, but somebody owns it. Let's see. What do you think of the E60 M5? I don't know. It just never really had the E60 was never like a thing for me, and it was so far out of reach when I was that age. This would have been, what's the year of the E60? 2000. Let's see. The F10 was 2000. E60 is the same generation as the E92, right? So, but a little bit older than that. So, what was it? 2006 to 2010 or something like that. I don't know. It's just not really a car that I loved. Matt, you need a vacation. I do not. I don't like vacations. How many helpings of tricolor pasta did you have on 4th of July picnic? I didn't have a picnic. I stayed home. Nicholas Blaisden says, hello, Matt. I've been using Beadmaker topper as a topper for CSL XO on my Mustang and M3. Recently, I've been experiencing tons of smearing, and Beadmaker just doesn't seem to wipe off at all. I thought it was the towels, so I replaced them, tried a different soap combo, tried a different Beadmaker bottle, etc., running DI, and tried to go back to McGuire's Express Wax and had no problems. One, what am I experiencing with Beadmaker and how do I fix it? Two, do you have any interest in McGuire's Express Wax? Are you sold on Slipstream? So Slipstream, I think, is going to be the solution to this. It's just simpler and it just wipes off easier and has a similar slickness and looks the same, if not a little better. So I don't know what's going on, man. It's just sometimes some stuff just doesn't work. Like I messed up my process when I was washing. It was a slight breeze and it was just blowing crap all over the place. So I don't know, just something to think about. You maybe just abandon it. I don't know. Hey Matt, let's see. You said over time your cars mean less to you. So hey Matt, in the past you've said over time your cars mean less to you. How come this is so, and how do we reach a point to where materialistic things are just things? I just think that comes with maturity, comes with dollars, comes with risk. How much risk did you take to get that thing? And that risk, the weight of the risk can weigh on you. I think quantity, maturity, money, and risk, which really only comes with time. Time. And some people are just blessed with not giving a crap about anything. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. Too much of anything is not a good thing. But yeah, I think you just kind of grow out of it. So let's see. Any super chats? Did I miss one? Let's see here. Tesla giveaway, no. GT4 giveaway would sound great. That's the general census. Hey Matt, what do you think of the B58? Again, I think it's pretty cool how darn tunable it is. I just hate that it's a freaking automatic only. It's not even a double clutch. Isn't it a ZF? Can you spill the details in your collab with Amelia Hartford's garage remodel? You have to ask Jeff. He's all over that. We just supplied him some stuff. Let's see. Matty, your thoughts on the new Lotus? We just talked about that. I have no interest in any Lamborghinis, so not a good person to ask on that. Let's see. Let's go up here. How's the yarn building come along? I've been sharing it on the Inside the Hex. I just said finish up a vlog again. It should be up, so we go back-to-back vlogs. the guys are kind of cruising along. I think they're waiting, or I think the drywall got wet during the tropical storm, and so the drywall shipment didn't show up. So we're waiting on that to come. But air conditioning starts tomorrow. But the framing's almost done, and then they're going to start ripping through the drywall, and hopefully very soon we'll have it all worked out here, where we'll be able to start. They'll get the paint done, and then the air conditioning's done, and then we can start to set up our desks. We're waiting on our tops, and then I can start to set up the garage, start moving stuff over. Let's see. How is the new Ego 615 versus the 580? I didn't even know there was one. I got to buy one. Seems like the same specs on paper, same chassis, except the 615 has slightly more power. They probably just changed the chipset, but it's probably the same gosh darn thing. Ego 615. You know, if you've used both of them, you know, it doesn't make sense to pay a bunch more for the 580 over the 650. Get out of here. I don't want to sign up for this newsletter. So it's just that the 650, is it 650 or 680? 650. Yeah. The 650 is really shrill. So you got to have ear protection. That's just the one really important thing on that. Let's see. Did I miss Jeff on the stream? No. You talking about Jefferson? No, he wasn't on. Let's see. When will you attack the LZ compound? Still waiting for that. I don't know how to drift. I'd drift right into the frickin' woods. So yeah, that wouldn't be good for me. Let's go back to the top here. Get some good. What do you think TJ Hunt's best car is? Any news on his new garage? Well, of course, his best car is the 991.1 GT3 RS, which I think they kind of. I think he ended up paying a bunch of money for that thing, but I didn't ask him what he paid for it. But I think they, because those cars haven't. They're anyway. Sub-Zero, nothing. Just waiting. Supposedly my freezer's here. I'm just waiting on the fridge. Let's see. P.S. Tried washing it. Oh, that was from the super chat. Matt, my Sun Joe attachments also fell through my Swiss tracks. Can you give you a call to fix it? It has to be a really small screw or washer to fall through there. Watching some of your old videos, you've come a long way with your public speaking and presentation. A lot of the uhs and ums in older videos, now your content is great. That's true. I probably did do that more. I still do that a lot. I just did it right there. It just depends on how formulated my thought is on something, on whether I have to and ah through it. We also edit the videos. In the very beginning, I didn't edit squat. ZL1 1LE, just because of how stupid the name is, I would never do one of those. What is your current favorite tennis shoe? Tennis shoe would be for sneaker or just shoe in general. He's probably from the Northeast if he's saying tennis shoe. My favorite is probably Nike Metcon. Let's see here. What about places where it snows? What's the word on the mountain house? I don't know. I got a message here that I've got to go and listen to. So we'll see what's up with that. I ordered for those of you who don't know, I'm looking at a house in the mountains, Carolina mountains, in the Highlands. Good news is one of the first house, if you watch the video, that really modern looking house has dropped $300,000 in price. So I had a sneaky suspicion that these really expensive, these $2 million plus houses weren't flying off the shelves. So I'm just slow playing it. I ordered an appraisal, waiting for the appraisal. Of course, you can't get anything done, especially in the mountains where people don't really work that hard, and so getting that stuff done takes a while. Planning to do solar energy system in your home, Matt? Yes, I've ordered a Tesla 16.5 kilowatt system with 4 power walls. I just want to see what the whole Tesla thing is all about. I'm sure there's more economical ways to get it, but I don't know. Tesla is interesting to me. Fishstick says, I'm from the U.S. I'm from USA, but Canada OG. I'll send my resume. I kind of need. We may be able to send some U.S. citizens up there, but I'm going to need Canadian citizens to employ them. Otherwise, they're not going to let me do that. Any thoughts on Chris's post and Inside the Hex group about your time spent with the amazing HOC? A hunk of crap, man. That seems like a lifetime ago. And I saw pictures. Man, I thought I'm chubby now. Man, that was at maximum fatness. That was a bad day. Bad looking fatster. That was on like maximum OCD meds and all that stuff. So yeah, that was a rough time. By the way, that's the vlog that got me fired. From Raymond James. That 2-week vlog I did, and me kind of taking people along the ride. They were concerned because I was talking about OCD that I wasn't mentally stable. Let's see here. Is a $25 MTM pressure washer gun any good? Yeah, it's really good. It just doesn't have a swivel. There's no reason to buy the Aqualine. The Aqualine's stupid. The SGS 28 is better for $50 less. Let's see. If OG sells it, it's good. Yeah, that's probably a good guess. Is it the best? Maybe not. But it's certainly going to be good. And if it's not good, it's not going to last very long. Did you win the lottery? No, I did not. Let's see. Any opinion on metal versus shingle roof replacement for a house? I mean, the only disadvantage of metal is it's a lot noisier, but it certainly lasts longer. I like the look of metal roofs. So, any thoughts on the Shmee 150 museum? I just saw a quick picture of it. I didn't really look at it too much. Let's see. So Salim says, honestly, if your work is good, I don't care if you're lightly overpriced. Well, again, what does that term overpriced mean? And then maybe it's, if your work is of quality, maybe that's the price, the fair price. The price is the price. Tesla's just like Apple, though. They're overpriced. See, that's nonsense. No. What if people enjoy pulling engines and transmissions? Going back to my rant. That's fine, but you don't have to be a dick about it, right? You're not superior because you enjoy pulling an engine. It doesn't make you superior. It just means you enjoy it. But if you have to do it, it doesn't make you superior. Wouldn't that make you inferior in that you're forced to pull an engine because you didn't line things up in life enough to be able to make the choice of whether you're going to pay someone to do that or just not do it, buy a different car? That's what I'm arguing. So stop with the superiority complex. You can say what is so. Hey, I really like to pull engines, transmissions. It gets really muddy and dirty in there. Swiss Tracks is just not a good thing for that application. I 100% agree with you. It doesn't make you better. It makes you freaking worse. So that's what I'm saying. So many of us here are aspiring to be you, Matt, the Chromatic. I aspire to make awesome videos like what he makes. Go check out that Chromatic Detailing channel. Hopefully we'll be in Canada and I can meet someday. And you guys are allowed to go outside again. Let's see. Do you feel that your aspirations are more driven by material things or experiences? I think we all inherently look to be material, but I think it's the rest that really drives us. I'm just not a real big experience guy. I have to battle. Experience feels like wasting time to me. It's just not what I'm wired for. It's not what I enjoy. And I've struggled with that because my wife is all about experiences. My son is all about experiences, where my daughter is very clearly all about material things. That's what she enjoys. And so I just think that as long as you can admit it and you can be rational about not letting it take over your life. Like for instance, I figured out how to make my materialism a contribution by building a business around it, employing a couple dozen people. It's I think that you can make most things in life a contribution if you're keenly aware of it. And so I don't think one is better than the other. I just think one is different than the other, and that's something to keep in mind. Let's see, another super chat. Eric Robinson. Who should I email about trying to get OG to carry a specific Adams product? Matt Detailer. I like to use my Hex Plus benefits to support OG. You know, Eric, I appreciate that, but you know, I don't think I wouldn't use that, so I don't think it makes sense to have it. So you still have that tiny refrigerator. I have a goofy frickin' refrigerator, the goofy Samsung thing. Let's see here. Where was I in my list of things? Let's see. We did that. And why is Tesla overpriced? What price point should Tesla be? Bingo. It should be whatever they want to charge it. Overpriced just means I don't value that. It may be overpriced for you, but that means you don't place that value on it. I just think overpriced is a terrible word. It's like there's an insecure attachment to that. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can use that word without the attachment, without the judgment. But I just don't know too many people that do that. They use overpriced. They use hype as a knock, or a hey, I'm better because I wouldn't waste my money on that. When most of the time it means I don't have enough money for that. Because if you have enough money, then there's no such thing. You just buy it or you don't. And so I think that whether you have enough money or not, I buy it or I don't. I don't like it. I don't want it. Doesn't mean it's overpriced. I'm just not interested in it. Even if it was 10 cents, I'm just not interested in it. And so when you're saying overpriced, you're saying, man, I really am interested in it, but I can't get it. That's what people hear. Whether you intended that or not, that's what's happening. Let's see. This nonsense about talking about how, you know, Tesla's overcharging for the money they put in. You know, how are you to determine that? So let's see. And he hasn't owned either one of them. I guarantee it. Let's see. Let me be Matt's anger translator. I like this. Just because someone can afford to not rough it, so to speak, in the garage, doesn't mean the passion or chase of whatever their OG may entail is not there. If you are, what I found in my experience when going back to this overpriced and this, I do real work rant, if you really are passionate about it and you're not insecure about it, then you're not going to get angry about it. You're not going to go and make posts in someone else's Facebook group, you know, knocking other people down about how you're so much better because you do real work. No, you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have all that baggage, all that insecure baggage around it. That's what drives people freaking crazy. I don't like it. It drives me crazy. Peter's Auto Vlog says, hello, neighbor from Kissimmee. Yeah, Kissimmee's not that far away. Let's see. And stop using opinions. Nobody wants opinions. It's just like no one wants to be helped. What's sad to me is that people in business don't value the clients that give them the feedback to do whatever they want and willing to pay for their best work. Let's see. So what he's saying, Wayne Freeman's saying, what's sad to me is that people in business don't value the clients that give them the freedom to do whatever they want and are willing to pay for their best work. Yeah, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier on. I think everybody wants to do their best. Everyone wants to give their best work. When I say, I'm not interested in customer service, I still want to have the best customer service. What I'm attempting to do when I'm saying something like that is I don't want to be beholden to irrational things. People entitlement, things like that. I want to work together to figure out a solution if there is a real problem. And I think that most service providers really want to do a good job. It's just some are just not wired that way. They're not wired to care or wired to chase. They're wired to chase Friday at 3 p.m. Let's get out of here and let's get to Pabst Blue Ribbon as quick as possible. Because that's their happy place. Just like my happy place is watching Heartland eating zebra cakes. But you can't chase the zebra cakes in Heartland too much because then you become an alcoholic. Can't chase too much Pabst Blue Ribbon. Matt, would you box Jake Paul? Heck no, he would freaking knock my face off. No way. I have zero reaction time. I'd get destroyed. Let's see. Let's scroll down to the bottom here because I'm getting kind of out of context here. Holy crap. You guys are question crazy here today. Let's keep rolling. I might have to go get a drink. Let's just go at the bottom here. Matt, what do you think of C-Course UK 3.0? It's a great coating. I like it a lot. It was a really tough call for that, between that and G-Technic CSL for me. UK is a little bit more durable. I think CSL is slicker. Let's see. Have you seen that video where some nerd does all the washer tests, flow, noise, like Matt, and ends it running over the water guns with his truck? No. There's a lot of them. You know what's so funny is all these people doing this test, they don't realize that's not like a real test. Like I freaking made it up. And they look so stupid. They don't even honor the source. Like cut a hole in the bucket and hold the thing in there, and they bought the MTM little gauge, and they're doing the exact same thing. And there's that one detailer guy who's a professional detailer using a freaking Ryobi. Well, guess what? If he makes a bunch more money, he's not going to be using a Ryobi as a detailer. He's going to be using a Krenzla. It's just funny watching these people. Speaking of Heartland, I blame Matt for putting me on it. I'm on season 12, by the way. I'm about to start it over for my 5th time. New segment, Matty the therapist. Thanks, Yoshi. Yeah, I'm just speaking. I'm speaking my truth. Let's see. From your extensive research on pressure washers, what would be a good pressure washer for mobile detailing when hooked up to a 3,500 watt generator? Currently using Greenworks and I need to upgrade. I don't know if the active would work on a 3,500, but that's what I would probably do. Just know you're going to have to buy a new one every couple of years. Let's see. I mean, the other one, 1622 is really a great mobile. A 1622 TST is a great mobile solution because it has less flow, draws less current. I think you'd probably need 4,000 watt. You'd have to try it. But if you want a really fancy one, a nice one, it doesn't have as much output. It's only like 1.5, 1.6 gallons per minute. But the 1622 will last a really long time, be serviceable. It's quieter and is a really good mobile solution. That's probably what I would have if I had a van. I'd probably have that. Let's see. Why do my brake disc cups on my brand new BMW rust? I mean, they're steel rotors, so there's not much you can do about it. Graphene coat your MacBook. It gains 16 gigabytes of RAM. That's a fact. right. Freaking graphene. Let's see. Epiphany. Is it possible to ceramic coat a MacBook keyboard mouse pad? Would be awesome to repeal my liquids that might spill on it. I don't know. I think it just might make it a little bit too fingerprinty for you. You know, the point of a coating for me would be to, you know, so that water and stuff doesn't stick to it. I mean, and I don't think you want to get a lot of water on your MacBook, so I wouldn't do it. Let's see. I currently have a dine-in rear section on my E92 looking to get a match Schnell X-pipe. That's a bad idea. If you don't do a quad resonated X-pipe on the dine-in rear section, or pretty much any rear section, you're going to hate how raspy it is. So what is it? I don't think Match Schnell does a quad. I think they only do a single pair of resonators. You need the 2 pair of resonators. I think it's not Corsa. It's either Magnaflow or what's the other one? There's the other big company that makes exhaust. I'm drawing a blank here, where they make a quad resonator X pipe, which was what you need. Let's see. Yeah, we do have all the Dr. Beasley Matt care. We have to get our package put together. What other questions do we have here? Did I miss? I can go back to, what's your opinion on the new GT500? There's a new GT500? Man, I need to pay more attention. Another super chat here. Let's see. Coming through. Let's see. Holorus says, what would you think would have to happen for coating companies to start being more authentic and truthful? No standardized ratings available. Anyone and everyone claiming crazy things, etc. I've been railing on this forever, man. I don't know. Somebody's got to do it. I think there is some transparency, but you just don't know what that is. You know, I think it's just so simple to me, and you would be so different if you just open it up and say, here's what I got. Here's what we got. Here's where I'm getting it. Here's how I'm using it. Here's the pros. Here are the cons. I don't know, man. It just seems like the whole thing is a bunch of nonsense. I think the ones that are truthful, they just keep their mouth shut because they've probably tried it and it hasn't helped them. Thoughts on the Soul Race exhaust for the 718 GT4, and that's freaking drone crazy. You don't want that unless you're just track crazy or you're, it doesn't matter how loud it is. You don't want that. Yes to GT4 giveaway. If you had $120K to spend on a car, what would you buy? I'd buy GT4. Let's see. What would be your go-to wheel cleaner for really dirty wheels? I know Brake Buster works great on wheels that are regularly maintained. I mean, Brake Buster can work too, but yeah, I think Wise Guy would probably be the way to go. That's kind of why we had it. Use it, dilute it properly, and then use it for more aggressive applications. And then you could throw some iron remover on it periodically. What's the best pad combo for polishing? Meguiar's 5-inch and 3-inch microfiber pads for compounding, and a 5-inch, 3-inch black pad, or something better. I like Rupes white and yellow. I think that those are the best. That's the best combo. I use Rupes yellow more than anything. Let's see. Any particular reason, Matt? This is from I am Daniel Max. Any particular reason you like Pilot 4S's versus, let's say, Pirelli P0 non-run flat that has more grip and less cost? I don't know. I'm just doing what everybody else does on that. I haven't done a whole heck of a lot of research or testing. I just know that I don't like how Pirellis look. Almost always, they always look a little weird. So I know that's not a good answer. That's a lazy answer, but I can't be obsessed in all things. What car should I buy for 30 to 40K? I would buy, if it's my only car, that's different than if it's just a car, right, that I'm not going to drive all the time. Only car I'd probably buy a Supra is more like 50, isn't it? I'd probably try to find a used Supra if I wanted something new-ish. Maybe a 3 Series of some sort. If it wasn't my only car, then that's when I'd get something interesting, like an E46 M3 or an E92 M3 or something like that. Let's see. Matt, you should look into Trinova Audio for your next audio processor upgrade. I did, man. I think you were the one who told me about Trinova in the past. It just seems so darn complicated. I'm looking for something simple. So NAD, I did ink the deal, so I'm an NAD dealer. I am a Blue Sound dealer. I am a Dolly speaker, and as well as a PSB. Still working on SVS. The main reason I'm so interested in NAD is for the Blue OS and for streaming DAC. That stuff is really interesting to me. Let's see. Favorite BMW is E92 M3 for sure. Opinion on Mach 1 Mustang that doesn't have a Chinese transmission. I don't know much about Mustangs outside the GT350. Hey Matt, what treatments have you been using or have used that have helped you get off your antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications? I should probably still be medicated because I'm not able to drive where I want to drive yet. It's just that I was still anxious and then suffering the consequence, the byproduct of being tired all the time, being a little bit chubbier, being a little bit less motivated. And so a lot of what's really helped me is the ART therapy that I've been doing, accelerated resolution therapy, is not really changing my life. It's the therapy sessions with my therapist, and then we do some stuff where we do the eye movement thing. I'm not really gullible in thinking that's changing my life. So I've only taken 2 medications ever. One was Prozac. That's the first medication that they put me on. It was actually my general practitioner put me on it. And then I finally got in to see a psychiatrist who said that's not what he would have chosen, but that's what I was on, and so we stayed on it. And that was when I gained 50 pounds and got real fat and happy. And you've witnessed that on YouTube of me being thin, skinny-necked, straight hairline, and then hair falling out, to chubby crazy, to heavy breathing while washing a car. And then, I was off it for a few years and just white-knuckling it and just powering through and really struggling, avoiding everything, going to the doctor and dentist and stuff like that. And the Nate Trout, can't chase zebra cakes in Heartland too much because you'll become an alcoholic. I was talking about, what I was doing there. I was talking about the guy drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon every night. So, what the heck was I talking about? Now I lost my train of thought. God dang it. Oh, talking about medication. And then I decided to approach this differently than just powering through it. We did some genetic testing. At first found out that I have, folic acid deficient. The lack of ability to process folic acid. So I started taking methylfolate. We tried that. Got on a regimen of that, and seemed to make maybe a baby improvement, but didn't fix anything. While doing talk therapy, art therapy, and medication therapy as well. And so then we put me on Luvox Fluvoxamine, which turns out is a really great anti-inflammatory. And there's actually a lot of case studies, or there is a case study, I think, in France that has shown that because of its anti-inflammatory capabilities, this is I heard on Joe Rogan, that fluvoxamine, there was like a mental hospital in France or something that was having no incidence of COVID-19, and so possibly it's the anti-inflammatory part of it helps. I really noticed, I'm off of it now, but I really noticed when I got off of it that my joints were just so sore working out. I was having a real hard time. Just getting beat up from the gym. It took months and months to get off of it, and I felt like I was walking like I felt like I was coming off of some heavy drugs for a month or two afterward. So I took Luvox and I got up to 150 milligrams, I think it was, a day, and now I'm off of everything except for I'm still taking the methylfolate for the folic acid. So I take. Supplementing with a whole over 40 multivitamin. I take 5,000 whatever it is of vitamin D. At night I take ZMAs or ZMA, which is magnesium and zinc, and that's really all I do. And I'm not even supplementing with protein because all my macros are calculated. If I could just cut out the graham crackers and the goldfish that I start fiending for after the gym, I'd be in much better shape. But I'm driving to the gym. I couldn't even imagine doing that not too long ago. So I'm making some serious strides. Let's see here. What other questions do we have? This is fun. Keep it coming. I'll hang out here for a while. Chris isn't here to shut me down. What are your opinions on G on Glass and G on View? I didn't like G on View. I didn't think it worked very well. Same thing with the G-Technic version. The private Discord group possible for Inside the Hex. For those of us who don't want Bookface, no. There is a Discord group I think Bryce shared down here. Hey, Matt, dropping in to say hello. Hey, Mike, how's it going? Mike's Auto Detailing. He has a YouTube channel. Go check it out. How did your 1M compare to the E92? I would have liked the 1M if it had the same engine. I do like the 1M, but the N54 is just... I just don't like that turbo delivery business. So I don't have any interest in getting another 1M. Let's see. Opinion on new Pearl Puck coating applicator from TRC. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. We'll see. I think they just announced it today, I thought. Hey, Matt, have you ever thought about chatting with your followers on Discord? Yeah, I got to draw the line somewhere. So I just interact so much here that I don't want to add another thing to me at Facebook as well and Instagram. And so I don't do Twitter. I don't really do Discord. I don't do TikTok. You got to kind of choose. I think you do. Let's see. Hey, Matt, I saw an ad for a new video game, Power Wash Simulator. Interested to see if you've heard of it. I hadn't heard of that. That sounds interesting. Have you used your mountain bike at all? I haven't been on it. I hurt my elbow, mountain biking too much. And then I laid off of it for a while. And then I think... when did I do it? I tried to do a muscle up about 4 weeks ago, so my elbows finally started to get better. And I failed on a muscle up, and then it, I really hurt it. Because then the next day I did a bunch of pull-ups, and they're, butterfly pull-ups, and so I jacked up my elbow even worse. So I hope that I didn't damage it. I'm afraid to go get that kind of thing checked out. It feels like it's getting better. But mountain biking, as I tend to lock out too much. Let's see. Hey, Matt, I'm on methylfolate with Prestique. Seems to be working directly per my peers, but I don't know if I buy into the BS. Yeah, same here. It can't hurt. Do you think you would be transparent about some of these YouTube detailers? I know guys all know about each other. Yeah, there's not really much to be too transparent about, I don't think. I think if you use simple logic and if you drop the judgment and you drop the anger that comes with it, you just take people at what they're doing for face value. Like Pan gets a lot of heat. I get a lot of heat. I'm sure they all do. I don't think anybody's really disingenuous. I don't think anybody's getting over on anybody. I think most people they're not. No one is really as transparent as I am. Larry is not as transparent as I am. He's got a brand that's super awesome. That he doesn't let everybody all in. That's his choice. It's probably smart. But and then they're all up and down the game, and I don't think anybody, even like the detail geek, who's doing the puke cars, who gets millions of views. I think a lot of guys are willing to do things because they really love YouTube. I don't love YouTube. I like you people interacting with me, and I like being authentic. That's my brand. That's my style. I think I could game the system and be really intelligent about it and really watch and pay more attention and really chase the numbers. And I probably could have been much bigger and do what's in vogue and do things that I didn't want to do because it was the right thing to do for the numbers. And a lot of guys that are on YouTube, that's what they do, and they get a lot of heat for that from because it's not really authentic. But they're authentic, and that's what they want to do to get there. They just don't talk about it. And so I don't think that anybody detailing on YouTube really has any even a Chemical Guy's channel and stuff. I think it's all good. I think it's all. I used to get a little bit competitive with it. Or at least I get a little chip on my shoulder, when Pan would be just reading the back of the bottle, but that's what people want. They want them to read the back of the bottle and give you the basics, get to the point. They're not looking for all this bull crap that I'm talking about, life and OCD medication and all this stuff in between. But that's just my style. Everybody has their own style. Forensic, has a John has a style, has a way to do it, and then White Details and Apex and Mike's detailing channel. There's so many different channels now. Obviously Larry was the first. I was probably the Junk Man. So it was Larry and the Junk Man and the Chemical Guy. So those are the three channels in detailing. Really, that was pretty much it. And then I was number 4, and then Junk Man went away, and Chemical Guys isn't really viable. They don't really spend too much time on the channel there. And then, lots and lots of people come since and have added different things. So it would be nice if everybody was as transparent as I was, so you know exactly who they were. But I think you can see it. You can see through it. You just, but do it without a judgment. Just do it with it's just as an assessment. You're just assessing people around you and really taking them at face value and taking them for what they are. I guess at YouTube it's hard to take at face value. Take it for the face value that is underlying, and know that there's no malice. I mean, most people don't have malice. They're just doing what they like to do. So, anyway, that's my take on it. I would still like to get to, maybe I should do this soon. I'd like to there's just a bunch of the guys in Canada that I want to come down here. I'd like to convince some UK guys to come too and do a detailing summit, a YouTubers detailing summit. Just hash out things and do live streams and detail some cars and show them some cool tools and all that stuff. I think it would be really neat. So I do want to do that still, and I think that would be good. Are the active packages to be back in stock soon? I hope, man. I hope. Just freaking waiting on everything. So everything's going up in price and nothing's available. Any thoughts on a second channel? Where did that go? Crap. I lost it. SVS doesn't work out. Try. Yeah, Rel subs are great. Rel is much more musical. I do like Rel a lot, but they're on a whole nother level. Crap. That was a good question. I missed it. Come back down here. Not a question. Met you 2 years ago. Super nice person. Yeah, that's just funny. I was talking about this. I have this reputation, but I'm really a pretty freaking nice guy. I just say what's so. So let's see. OnlyFans for detailing. That would be kind of fun. You could do it. I mean, like TikTok has a connotation. OnlyFans has a connotation. But you could make one of my ideas that I thought I would do on TikTok was to do a courtesy rev channel, where everybody submitted courtesy revs and I posted a courtesy rev. I thought that'd be kind of fun, but I wasn't interested in it that much. Any thoughts on watches? I've talked about that a lot in the past. I want to like watches, but it just doesn't work for me. You wouldn't have to deal with oil dipping below Swiss tracks if you just sealed your concrete. I don't know if he's suggesting you seal your concrete in lieu of Swiss tracks. You never have to worry about oil dripping if you don't mind it looking like crap. But sealed concrete looks terrible. So when you seal it, it doesn't look good. And then it's slippery. Let's see. Matt, maybe I missed it, but what is the latest news on the new house? How'd the appraisal go? Again, my realtor just called, so hopefully we have something. What do you do for a day job? You're looking at it. This is what I do. Any thought? Oh, that's it. Any thoughts on a second channel for OG employees to make videos? The guys don't have time to do what we need to do here, so I don't want that. What coating would you use on a high-end vinyl-wrapped vehicle? There's no such thing as high-end vinyl, so forget that. But I would use Halo, G-Technic Halo. Matt, how bad are your panic attacks? I used to have them before flying, would take Valium and pray a lot. It's not too bad. But the feeling of panic is the same feeling of passing out. It's just passing out at that next level. It's a fight or flight thing. I feel like I'm going to frickin' die. I hate it. Whatever happened to having B&B on the OG channel? I don't know. I should do that. I'd plan on going out there to fly out, and I just said, I'm tired of frickin' traveling. And so that was part of the, last year's rejiggering of what I like to do. Let's see. What was the falling out between you and Esoteric? I don't really want to go there. Let's see. Matt's posted 3 times in Discord, and 2 of them were poop emoji and bacon emoji. I did post that? I think you guys posted it for me. Why do you hate Roth IRAs? That's a good question. I was thinking about that the other day. I don't hate it if you're lower income, earlier in life. You might as well just make that contribution because you're not paying any tax anyway, paying virtually none. So think about this logically. Let's say I have $100,000. So let's talk about a Roth conversion. Let's say I have $100,000, and let's say I make $200,000. So my salary is $200,000, and I've got $100,000 in an IRA. And let's say I'm 59 years old, and you have some douchebag financial advisor who says, "Oh, this is the perfect time to make a Roth conversion," which is freaking stupid. So I'm making $200,000. I take my $100,000 and I do a conversion, which now I show that I make $300,000. And then I take my $100,000 and I transfer it into my IRA or my Roth IRA, and I have $100,000 in my Roth IRA. But I have to pay, and I'm going to have to pay, $30,000 in tax. So really, I put $100,000 in my Roth, but I got to come up with $30,000 somewhere else that I could have put into some other vehicle. So a Roth makes perfect sense if you pay the tax with after-tax magical dollars somewhere else, and then I put it in there, and then it can grow tax-free, and I don't have any RMD or anything like any requirement of distribution in the future. But just think of simple time value of money, especially earlier in life. So let's have another example. Let's say that you're 30 years old, and you're making $100,000, and you have the option to do a Roth 401k or a regular 401k. And let's say your bills are pretty tight. Your income is pretty tight. You bought a couple of cars. You got a big mortgage. You live in somewhere that's really expensive, real high cost of living. You're not real keen to save. You're spending lots of money. You're borrowing money. You got a little credit card debt here and there. But you are putting money in your 401k. But you can't. Let's say you're putting $10,000 in. And so, if I do a deductible $10,000 contribution, versus if I were going to do a Roth, I'd probably have to do $8,000 instead of $10,000. So I'm putting less money in. And then if I compound that over the next 35 years of my life, my IRA is going to be worth X and my Roth IRA is going to be worth Y. And yes, I'm going to have to pay tax on my IRA. But here's the deal. If you do a good job saving, you end up with lots of money later on in life, you're probably never going to take all that out. You're going to stretch that, pass it on to the next generation. They're going to stretch it. And everybody's paying a little bit of tax along the way as you make the withdrawals. But you have a bigger corpus that's compounding at the same rate, which means you have more. The bigger the corpus, the bigger the value of an account. And if you get the same return in a bigger account versus a smaller account, the bigger account gets bigger faster because it's bigger. It's just the way it works. And so if I'm dollar cost averaging into my 401k or a Roth IRA, all things being equal, if I pay the tax out of some magical bucket of some magical money that comes from someone else, then yeah, equal. If I put equal amounts in a Roth versus equal amounts in a regular, of course the Roth is better because I'm never going to have to pay any tax on the growth in the future. But if I have more money to start with, or if I'm putting more money in each year to start with, I'm going to have a bigger principal value at the end. And the chances of you withdrawing all of that money out all at once is pretty slim. And here's the deal. You may have a business loss sometime in your life that you could offset income, and then doing a conversion would make sense. You may have long-term care needs, which is a deductible medical expense, and so you may be able to withdraw and pay for your long-term care needs out of your your old 401k or your regular IRA tax-free, but you have a bigger pile of money because you didn't pay the tax up front. So I'm just not a huge proponent of a Roth IRA if you just do the math. Now, if you get real cute with the math and you say that, well, I'm going to use all of my tax deferred. So all the calculators that financial advisors use are garbage. They're so simple. Even like you see, there's guys on YouTube doing it now, and they're using some freaking junk. They're using They're using Money Guide Pro, which I've really vetted and realized that it was freaking too simplistic. Compliance makes it so, and then you got a bunch of people that are sort of stuck in the past. That compliance makes it so that you really can't have anything robust or good. So Roth is the poor person's dream. It's just not it's not bad, and certainly if all things are created equal and I can put the same amount of money in both without paying any tax, then it works out great. The Roth is the way to go. But I'm telling you, I've had many clients that never paid a penny on their IRA, on the tax that they deferred and the growth they deferred forever. You can use it for other things. It's very, very possible. Worst case, you die with frickin' $1 zillion in the bank, and you pass it on to your kids, and they pay a little bit of tax along the way. But if they stretch it and they just take their required minimum distribution and don't blow it, again, the corpus, the value is much bigger. And yes, every dollar they're taking out, they're paying 30 cents on the dollar in tax. But if they have $10 million versus $4 million, I'd rather have $10 million taxable than $4 million tax-free. Just freaking simple math. So, anyway. Matt, you have a call from the compliance officer. Yeah, eat it. You know what? Freaking compliance. I don't need no compliance anymore. Let's see. Elbow pain, ibuprofen, sleeve. Don't do things that hurt. It will heal itself over time. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I bought this really, really cool. It's called a crap. It's an iced. It's like a gel sleeve. It's like a neoprene gel, like elbow sleeve that I slide on. It's real tight. Crap. It's called a freeze sleeve. You got to get these things. So good. I just leave it in the freezer. I grab it, throw the freeze sleeve on. I think I did some ligament, a little bit of ligament damage is why the inflammation hasn't just gone away. Matt, still love the uplift desk. Yes, I do. I think they're great. This thing's freaking awesome. I think that they're good, a good version. Hashtag Mormonomics. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see. Could the old Florida house make a return? That lake was amazing. Yeah, I mean, if he puts it for sale, I'd be hard-pressed to not buy it. I just discovered your videos in 2019 of your Yeti. Do you still bike? Yeah, I just haven't been out on it in a little while. We don't have mountains, but we do have some really great trails at the Santos Trailhead. You may have heard of it here in Ocala. A balance between Roth and traditional. I personally would like to pay taxes now than how much, not knowing how much the tax rate is higher later. Well, how do you know it's going to be higher later? I'd rather have more money always. Taxable or not taxable. I want more money. And so it'd be like me doing a Roth conversion right now would be stupid. Because that whatever $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 I pay in tax, then I have $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 of less money to compound for the next however many years. Yeah, the freeze sleeves are freaking sick, man. You need to get them. Even if you don't have a problem, just get them. Throw them in your freezer. I need to buy some more of them. The only thing is they only last about 15 minutes and then runs out of juice. So if you like really, really heavy frozen crap. Any progress on the vacuum pursuit? None of the vacuum companies will let me sell the vacuum because they don't have any vacuums, so they don't want to sign up new vendors. So I'm going to have to wait. It stinks. Any chance of opening pre-orders in 700 milliliter clear bottles? I think that's a good idea. I think we should do that. Everybody's going to hate me for that. Let's see, Matt. I want to quit my job and chase streaming. However, I have bills. What do you mean streaming? Doing what I'm doing? Considered quitting and cashing out my 401k to cover 12 months. That's the worst idea I've ever heard. Any negative cause and effect? Yes, you'll pay a 10% penalty plus tax for withdrawing early. It's a terrible idea. You don't quit your job and chase whatever you're talking about. Quit doing worthless stuff on the side and chase your thing as a side hustle and keep your job, or go get a better job that you like more and then chase on the side. I'm not a big proponent of leveraging your present or financing your present to pay for your future, even though that's kind of what college is. I would say it's probably much, much smarter to to side hustle, whatever you're talking about there. Because what you're doing probably won't work. You know, odds are whatever you want to do on the side probably won't work, and you may have to pivot. Matt, what would you say is a good investment for someone in their 20s? I think the best investment you can make is give up the pipe dream that investments are your thing. Unless investments really are your thing, right? So unless you really love the idea of generating rental income and buying rentals and doing all the things that go with that, if that's what you're really passionate about, don't freaking do it. Unless you're really passionate about, buying individual companies and buying stocks and things like that, even then you're probably still going to get it wrong. You're going to make worse returns than if you were just on something passive. But unless you're really passionate about that, and you're going to spend, it becomes like your second thing, then don't do it. I say you just simply put money into, like, if you don't have any money, you can't hire a financial advisor. And if you can hire one, he sucks balls at doing it. So you don't want that guy. You don't want some guy at Edward Jones. You don't want some guy at, at Ameriprise. You don't want some guy at TD Ameritrade being your financial advisor because they don't know what they're doing. They're going to sell you some junk. They're just salespeople that weren't really any good at being salespeople. So you want to skip that, and you want to just go to Vanguard or just go to Charles Schwab and open an account and buy some basic crap. And then just add to it and add to it. Don't freaking turn off the statement. Don't have a statement sent to you in the mail and have it sent to you in email, but just delete it. Don't even look at it. Don't check the app. Don't play the game. And just keep adding to it. And if you have a job, it's really easy. Just put it in your 401k. And keep doing that, and then work on out-earning your desires. That's what I've done. Just out-earn it. That's what I would suggest. Matt, I no longer wash my hands after I pee. You're welcome. Need whole house filter system. What should I do, Tampa, Florida? Oh, thanks to someone on one of the YouTube videos of the vlog, he suggested I get a Kinetico, Kinetico. Softening system. It's freaking fantastic. I ripped out that Nuvo thing. The Nuvo wasn't bad. It's just my water wasn't the right type of water for the Nuvo. By the way, if any of you want the Nuvo, shoot me an email. I'll sell it to you cheap. Ship it out to you. Used it for 2 months. So if you want the Nuvo citrus-based filter, just my water had way too much calcium and it wasn't, without softening, it wasn't going to work. It was $4,700 for the Kinetico system though, so be ready for that. But the water is freaking fantastic. Are you watching the UFC fight tonight? I probably will buy it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I'm up to. Let's see. I found that the non-industrial press oil sprayer seems to pull air below quarter full of the bottle, and the bottle is not vertical. Have you considered offering only offering industrial sprayers? They are superior, but yeah. The straw is a little bit more fragile. We have some more work to do. Let's see. Love the money talks, Matt. Yeah, if you have questions, I can answer them now. So let's see. What else, Matt? How are you liking the TC Kleins on the E36? I haven't even driven it yet. It's still down, and Jose should bring it back here probably next week. Let's see. Did you want a 911 because you saw Pan with a new one? No. Especially not a turbo. No. I always want a new 911. Let's see. Have you fired up the dry ice machine? Not yet. I need dry ice. Waiting for it. We're kind of everything's in limbo because we're tearing everything apart here with the yarn building. Let's see, Matt, you should check out the book Principles by Ray Dalio, basically about his life story of being radically truthful and radically transparent. That's largely what I've done. Matt, have you ever thought of trying CBD for inflammation and anxiety? I've thought about it, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem legit to me. My gut. Dream E46 spec, E46 M3 spec. I want it very simple. I'm going to do carbon roof. I'm going to do the CSL intake. I'm going to do Olin's road and track suspension, some version, probably the wheels that are on it, the competition wheels that are on it, and figure out some exhaust that sounds good, and that's pretty much it. I want to tint the windows, maybe do a stereo, be really, really simple with it. Opinion on your Civic Type R. Have you driven one? I've ridden in one, haven't driven one. I think it's okay. It's a little obviously overdone. If I bought one, I'd want to tone it down a bit. Let's see. I'm running out of gas here. When's your E46 showing up? I don't know. Probably next week. I don't know what they're doing with it up there. They're just kind of checking it out or something. When will reservations be open for Destination OG? I don't know. Hopefully I'm going to make the call and buy the house. Let's see. Did you write off any expenses when you started Obsessed Garage right off the bat in the beginning? Or did you start writing off stuff when you realized it was something bigger? Yeah, I mean, I was writing it off immediately. I'd set up an LLC, and then any income came. I think I probably showed a loss for the first 2 years. Now we make too much money. I can't show a loss. I probably could if I lied, but I don't want to do the right thing. But yeah, definitely you set up an LLC, and then of course that LLC is a pass-through, but then you offset as much as you can. I just don't take any liberties on buying stuff. I buy stuff that makes sense, that were things that contributed to me making money. How many times can I paint correct my car a year? I wouldn't do it any more than once. Any Cox hose reel update? No, everything's just on order, just waiting. Same thing with 6-gallon buckets. I think ETFs are a good way to invest. Low cost, simple, easy. There's some potential underlying potential future issues on them, but and they haven't blown up yet. Do you know any good lakes to have a second home on in Georgia? Go look at Lake Burton. That's where I would want to be. Be careful with all lake property in Georgia because a lot of it's owned. It's owned by the Georgia Power. Let's see. Did you see the weigh-in? Connor looks legit. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not like a UFC super fan, but I do like watching it at times. Matt, have you tried heroin? No. I'm a 19-year-old kid who is studying engineering, is extremely passionate about everything OG stands for in terms of sales, products, and processes. Do you have any words of wisdom to share? I would say be patient. Get your degree. Be patient. Be open to opportunities that show up in your life. Recognize when you're finding yourself wanting what someone else has done, because you're not going to be able to do it. It's already been done. So recognize when that's happening, and recognize what you like about what, like for instance, I was such a huge fan of Griot's Garage, but I'm not doing Griot's Garage. I'm doing my own thing. And I never really thought about emulating anybody. I always take in what everybody else is doing. And there's some crazy people who argue that I just copied everything. I haven't copied anything. I've learned from everything that you do in life is just it's a result of your underlying experiences, of all the things you've experienced in life, and you put it all together, and that's your life, that's your business, that's your family, that's the reflection of who you've become, is all of the experiences that you've had. And so, get this thing out of the way here. So, I think you just need to be patient. You need to be open to opportunities that come your way. And if you do that, you'll be able to chase, and don't copy anybody, do you. And if it just so happens to look like what somebody else does, that's fine. But do you. If you do you, then you'll always be authentic. When will we be able to purchase the No BS OG drying aid? Probably next month. Later this month, early next month, hopefully. Matt, what would you do in life if cars and garages did not exist? I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, I'd be a freaking darn good employee now. I would know how to speak to get what needed to get done. I would know how to be a really valuable servant or valuable support to somebody. I'd probably go run someone else's company and go in and reorganize it and take what I've learned and go do something like that. Let's see. Any interest in classic BMWs? None. Zero. Zippo. I'm looking to purchase a used truck. I'm looking for a GMC Sierra Denali, either gas or diesel. Any recommendations? I'm not your guy for that. I would have no idea. Matt, did you dial in the Big Ass fan in your living room? I have not. It's still kind of janky. It makes a clicking noise. I've got to get up there and see if I can fix it. Yeah, let's see. Looking to reduce body roll on my F30 335 M Sport, currently on Dynan springs with M adaptive shocks. Would you suggest Dynan shockwear tune, switch to Öhlins, or just beef up the sway bars? I don't know how good their tune is for the suspension, but I'd try that. I'd be inclined to try it, and then do sway bars, and then go more aggressive with Öhlins. Call Barry at 3DM. We talked about AMG and my dislike. Let's see. How much research comparisons do you make when selecting 4K UHD for the garage? Also specific living room. I already had that display. That was just a cheap 75-inch. What is it? Sony. Forget which. I think it's an 850 X850. We had done it on our outdoor patio deck, and I did zero research. I just freaking bought some cheap Sonys and put them out there, and I put it in the garage to hold me over. But it's really easy in the main room. You just get LG OLED and call it a day. You just get the C series because all the other ones just have a bunch of fluff you're paying for, but the display is the same. Any plans for a more budget-friendly entry-level pressure washer hose reel in the works? Less expensive than Cox. Better than something like General Pumps. I don't think that exists, man. I think you go crap or you go cream. I haven't found anything in between. So if I come across it, definitely. Let's see. Matt is on his way to ripness. I can see a vein. Yeah, hopefully. DCT or manual and F80. Come on, manual. How's the parking for the open house? It's going to be chaos. So just come on in and we'll figure it out. Matt, I'm 18, about to start college and making more money with less hours than a part-time job. But when is it time for me to progress beyond detailing? After college. It's such a great gig for, man, I wish I knew how to detail when I was in college. It was great. Just don't get stuck. Get out of it as soon as you graduate. Get the degree. You'll be smarter than any of your smarter friends in college because you already have you already have a service-based business. When are you going to offer Cove speakers? Yeah, that's not happening. Thoughts on the G-Wagon? That's a douche mobile for sure. Would you consider your brief gym ownership to be a failure? If so, what did you learn through the process that makes you a better business owner? I don't really think of failure. Of course it failed. It didn't have to fail. I just shut it down. I just was annoyed by it. And it was such an insignificant amount of revenue and money that it was just annoying me. It wasn't causing me any angst or any financial strife. It just wasn't sound, and I needed to commit to it to make it great. And I didn't want to commit to it. I wanted to work out. So I bought the gym to get in shape because I figured if I got a gym, there's no way that I could be fat and sloppy. Well, I've learned that you definitely can when I hated going to it. What I needed to do was I needed to make a change. If I wanted it to succeed, I needed to let the guy go, and I should have fired him early, and should have moved on really quickly. But he took some significant risk. He just didn't know how to listen to me. And I knew exactly how to build the gym, and it would have been freaking fantastic. The problem is this area is not a really good area but you only need 100 members or 80 members to make it work, and I'm sure we could have done that. But what I learned is that I need to stay consistent and stay on point, because I don't have enough time and energy to do everything that I want to do in a day. So why would I add something that is inconsistent with the main concept, which is to create an end-to-end solution for the garage? So I definitely learned to stay on point, stay on track. Yeah, it's 4 o'clock. I think I'm done. My butt hurts sitting on the seat too long. Let's see. Hi, Matt. I remember OG was Matt Mormon on YouTube. I love how far you've come and the things you've accomplished. I originally started following you because you were a CFP. Oh, how things have changed. Yeah, my CFP is over there on the wall. Where is it? Yeah, right in the center there. I should burn that sucker. That'd be a funny video. Here's what I think about it. Should I max out my Roth IRA and 401k before opening a brokerage account if I want to retire early? I'm 23. Yes. Yes. Start with your 401k. Then you can do a backdoor Roth. And then you can start saving taxable after that. Waiting for the OG crap or cream shirt. Yeah, it's funny. Are you going to SEMA this year? Yes. I need to get some tickets. Love you and your team. Thank you. No, thank you. Matt Mormon, not a master detailer, just a very passionate guy when it comes to detailing process. Do we really need an OG Manscaped solution? I'm not the guy for that. I'm basically hairless. Look at me. Any thoughts on the new 2 Series? It probably sucks, unfortunately. I want your EM1. Yeah, it's gone. What's your take on the RPM Act and the EPA going after aftermarket sellers of performance parts? I'd say good luck. We'll figure out a way around it for sure. You're not an American muscle car guy. Yes, I am not. It's pretty much the opposite of what I'm about. All right, I'm signing off here, folks. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for all the super chats. And those of you listening on the podcast later, appreciate you as well. And we'll keep doing this. Chris should be back next week, I think. And we'll be back on normal. But, yeah, I could sit here and answer questions all day. So I appreciate you being here. I guess I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. And thanks for listening.